There you go.
Sorry about that. Sorry about this morning. I didn't have it on my calendar. I don't know why.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hello.
Hi. Trump and Elon are fighting. It's highly entertaining.
Well, you're in that space, so you're like able to have an opinion.
I don't know.
But
It's the continual soap opera, right?
Oh, it's like the soap opera to end all soap operas,
Right?
Yeah. I would like to introduce you to Katrina. Katrina is a notable person in Silicon Valley, amazing consultant, great for relationships, and I just wanted to bring her on board and introduce you guys. I think so far we'll make a good team, and then we'll figure out everything today. As a strategy meeting, try to go overall our goals and see all the things that we can accomplish together.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm intro. And nice to meet you, Robert.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, Dwayne. Great to be here. Happy to be on this call with you both.
Yeah. What a day.
What a day.
What a day. I just was at Sully AI company, which just blew my mind. Man, so many things are happening.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, could you explain brain-computer interfaces to Katrina?
Yeah.
The concept of the holodeck, and then we can.
Well, let's start with the holodeck first, right? It's a 3D environment or a 3D technology on anything, right? You can turn your Coke can into a Pepsi can if you're wearing the right kind of glasses. So it's a Gaussian splat environment around you that an AI can generate in photorealism and can let you interact with it, pick up a virtual Coke can and, hold it and move it around. That's coming next year with glasses from Meta and Google that let you see and interact with this 3D environment. And we, nerds call it a digital twin or whatever. Mark Zuckerberg calls it the metaverse. I don't like calling it the metaverse because it's not about virtual worlds completely. It's about running robots. It's about training, doing inventory control in factories and warehouses and doing a lot of other things. NVIDIA calls it a holodeck internally, and they're saying that a new 3D environment is coming because of AI and AI driving the 3D environment. On Sunday, I saw an AI that this guy who built it, give it a RFQ for a skyscraper. It built that, but then it said, I need to show it to you. It built its own 3D rendering technology in less than 20 minutes, then showed me the skyscraper in that, right? So it's like AI is changing how software and everything is being done, and it has deep implications on 3D environment around you. In 2027, light field displays are coming that do 3D. So even if you don't wear a pair of glasses, you're going to get a fairly good dose of this if you buy one of those new TVs. So by 2030, we're in a new 3D centric world where the AI can communicate with humans in 3D rather than on 2D screens. So that's one thing. I call it the Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
Because we're headed toward the singularity, right? It's pretty clear to me now. And holodeck technology is one leg of the Trinity. Brain-computer interfaces is another, and robots is the other. And all of them work together, right? Because if you're wearing a glasses, you can control your robot or change it. If you wear brain-computer interface, you can control the holodeck. The holodeck in a future version will be pumped into your brain, and it's reading from your brain. That's a little bit further away. Neuralink's device is a read-only device from the human brain, so you think, and the AI can compute for you, right? someday over the next decade, we're going to see read-write devices that can write to your brain and change your reality and pump this holodeck into your brain and have AI in the middle of your brain talking to you, right? Just by thinking, which is quite interesting. There's a whole lot of interim steps to get to that singularity. Mark Zuckerberg, when he announces Meta glasses this fall, is going to announce the armband that he has that listens to your electrical signals going through your hand. And all you have to do is twitch your hand a little bit to control a bunch of hands, right? In a game or something like that. There's strips that are coming that fit behind your ears that can make you feel move left or right, or feels thrust, or change how your body feels. The guys who showed me that put a wave through my body just with a computer, right? And there's hats coming in about 2 years that have 70,000 sensors that you put them on, and it's like a Neuralink, but Neuralink without surgery, without putting wires on your brain. So there's a whole bunch of things coming that'll make the glasses over time better and better and better. And that's why the merging of those three is coming. So I get that. That sort of sets up the future pretty good. The Holy Trinity.
Yeah. So, all of this information is so amazing. And I thought it would be such a great idea to have an environment where, people can explore these new concepts before they hit the market, to even get an idea of like how it will impact real world like use, right? So that's why I want to do this trade show, AI Crypto Expo. Although it just says AI and crypto, that's more for hype. Like we're going to have all these amazing emerging technologies and put them on full display at this trade show.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I was just at Sully, which is turning doctors into superhumans with AI, right? They're building a whole system for the healthcare system. And while they're talking to their patient, it's interacting with them and giving them more information about their patient and telling them, oh, their scans show that they have a tumor in their left lung, right? So that the doctor has almost a real-time second opinion right there while they're talking to the patient. And that's sort of how every business is going to be affected. I've seen all sorts of different kinds of businesses like that are AI first businesses that are bringing a lot of new things to people, right? New ways of living. And you're seeing them every day. I mean, it's like every day there's new things being announced now by the AI industry. I have lists of 6,400 AI companies on X.com. So you can watch the whole industry on one screen, and
wow,
it's crazy. Yeah. So there's a lot of potential businesses out there that need to find new customers, right? And that's why your event is pretty interesting. And that the next thing, the AI, the bleeding edge of AIs right now, which hasn't even been showing up yet in like Anthropic Cloud or ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or Perplexity, is the AI is going to self-improve. It's going to improve itself, and it's going to improve what it's doing for you. Like building a 3D rendering system, it could read a paper about convex splatting, which just came out this week, and go, oh, I have a new way to make that 3D rendering system better. And then all of a sudden the skyscraper looks better, right? Because it rebuilt the 3D rendering system and it's using the latest technology to build it, rebuild not just itself, but rebuild all the things it can do for people. And we haven't even really started considering that, but that's at the AI engineering summit this week in San Francisco. That was a big topic of how do these AIs get to the place where they can self-improve, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. So let's start with the presentation.
Yeah.
And let's figure out where we can add value, because I want this to be more than, just an event, because, we have the great Robert Scoble. We're going to make it
I'm not great. I just know a lot of greats. I'm a pawn. I mean, my
thing.
What I bring really to the table is I'm seeing so many people building companies and visiting the companies, from robotics to brain computer interfaces to AI companies, that I have a big picture approach to the world, right? I can tell you the big picture. I'm not real deep. I can't build an AI, right? There's lots of people who are really deep on that, like Sam Altman or Ilya, right?
So you've met like a lot of these people, huh? Like you said,
enough of them to be dangerous, yeah.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Steve Wozniak, he wrote the foreword in your last book.
Yeah.
And
yeah, Mark Benioff wrote the foreword of my fourth book. I've met a lot of these people and study them and understand them a little bit.
Like you were the first tech blogger in Silicon Valley, pretty much, right?
Well, Evan Williams probably deserves that credit because he started a company called Blogger. There was a few hundred before me when I'd started blogging in 2000, and there was already a little tiny community of people who were doing these new things called blogs. Yeah, but I was early, and I was certainly the only one for a while that launched companies and really talked about startups. Oh, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking to us or somebody else.
Oh no, I was just talking to my son. But yeah,
cool.
That's super cool that you're like one of the first like tech bloggers, and you like covered Tesla first. You're like one of the first people.
I had the first ride in the first Tesla. I was the 79th user of Instagram, and Siri was launched in my house. I had the first ride in the Mercedes AI car, and the first AI car. I launched many companies from Flipboard to Cloudera. Matic Robot Company was launched in my house. They just got a 10 out of 10 score on Wired. Right. So I try to be early on a lot of these things.
So you're also like Apple's first child laborer.
Right? Yeah. Back in 1978, my mom got a job building Apple II motherboards from a woman named Hildy Licht, who still runs a contract manufacturing business in Silicon Valley. And we built a couple thousand motherboards in my mom's kitchen, which is crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, back in 1978. That's really why I got my start, because I felt, first of all, I fell in love with new things, and particularly this motherboard. Because when I was a child, there wasn't anything that looked like that. That was like science fiction in a rotary phone world.
Yeah.
I met Steve Wozniak later in 1989 in a parking lot in a community college, and I knew who he was because I built his motherboards, and that got my whole career started. So yeah.
Wow.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Robert. That's
the good old days.
I remember like the Radio Shack back, because I was born in 75. So I remember like the Radio Shack and like all the detailed, but the motherboard, that was like a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it got me my first job at HP, working on a manufacturing line, running a soldering machine, which was a wave of solder, and did when my mom took half an hour to solder a board by hand. That thing did it in 20 seconds. So it's like I'm not going to be doing soldering of motherboards anymore. Now it's an even different and faster process, right? But yeah. I study manufacturing too, so I have a lot of weird interests that it's hard to communicate in 2 minutes. I do a lot of consumer research, understand how people resist change. Ford and others told me to go around America and study people's attitudes towards autonomous cars like 12 years ago. So I went around America asking people, are you ready to get in a car without a steering wheel? And they all said F no, right? But yet Waymo customers are going up in a pretty fast rate. So people are changing their mind. And I study that changing of mind, right? What makes people resist things and then adopt them.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that too. So that's some of my my gist is like AI relational intelligence, and what is our relationship with AI? How are we, creating these future interactions and current interactions, and what is the, like, how are we embracing the change that's coming? What are we not embracing? What are the patterns of our own behaviors that we're resisting? What's really wants to come in. So I'm fascinated by that.
If you really had a read-write brain-computer interface on, the AI is going to try to merge with you. And if you're open to almost, let's just go there, intimate relationship with an AI. If you're okay with loving the AI, it'll merge with you and then start working with you, right? If you try to resist it and try to go, you're not good, like I use a metaphorical Las Vegas box in my brain, right? I don't want you to open that box up, right? I don't want you to look at that. Then all of a sudden it can't work with you completely, right?
Sounds like an episode of Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a weird future. People aren't ready. People are not. I'm more ready for that because Grok already, AI already knows me so fucking deeply. It knows. If you ask Grok about, anything about me, it knows me more deeply than I know myself.
Yep.
Which is crazy, right? But I'm getting used to that world. And so now it's like, well, you already know all my shit. Come on in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. There's this amazing project that I've just found out about, and it's a whole body intelligence. And so it's basically helping us to know about the 90% of the things that we don't even understand within our own human experience. So I
just visited Kevin Fisher is building a virtual being company for children. And he's let's back up because this is actually an interesting thing. I visited his house on Sunday morning, and as soon as I got in the living room, his wife is sitting there with a baby, and he has this 2-year-old kid running around, and there's a box on the floor with a screen with a virtual dog on it, and the box has a bunch of knobs on it as well, and it's teaching him. It's the dog is can see everybody in the room, listen to everybody in the room. It's an AI that's driving it, right? It's driven by animators from Warner Brothers and a bunch of teachers and scientists and doctors who are informing the curriculum of the dog and making sure that it's appropriate for a 2-year-old to be with. But it's an incredible thing, and so 10 years from now, every kid will have something like that teaching them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that'll speed us all up, evolve us.
That's like
so
the
fast.
future of education. Like,
yeah.
About that, the holodecks as an AI.
It's the future of the family too, because it watches the parents interacting with each other and with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
It can see a divorce is about to happen, right? Because people are yelling at each other and angry. And the dog, first of all, the dog tries to make the home happier by doing this, right? And it can, talk to each person and go, "Hey, chill out. What's going on?" And then change the dynamic in the home so that kids have a happier life, less abuse, right? You can see sexual abuse happening in the home, and because it can pick up on the emotions of the kid. So if the kid starts getting sexually abused or emotionally abused, that shows up in how we interact with each other and certainly with a virtual being. Stanford University is doing a lot of research with virtual beings, and they found already that if you had a virtual being sitting on the couch next to you, your mind treats that as real. You won't even sit on that chair, even though it's just a virtual thing, right? Your mind buys into that it's a human sitting on it, or a dog sitting on the chair, and he found the same thing by doing his work, building this virtual character and he's been showing it to a lot of people coming to his home and another place in New York to see the interactions with the dog, and everybody changes when they see the dog. Because before they see the dog, they're going to give you a lot of resistance. Like, there's no fucking way I want a 360 camera in my house watching every damn thing I'm doing. Right. That's huge amount of privacy to give up. Right. They'll resist before they get it. But he says every time people come in who are skeptical and they see the dog, they instantly fall in love with the dog and want it. Right.
Yeah.
So change is coming. It's just how and when.
Yeah, no, change is coming.
And then the dog might have its own crypto wallet, man.
I mean, with AI agents and crypto, sky's the limit. I've been checking out a few automations. Are you familiar with N8N?
Yeah, I'm using that and a similar thing called Flow with. Agent platforms, they call them. And you talk to that and it fires up thousands of agents to do whatever, run your business or run your life or help you with a project or help you think something through.
Like, I know from my perspective as like just a regular person who just happens to know a little bit about AI agents, like this is a big deal. But from your perspective, can you like talk more about how, like, what the implications of AI agents are?
Well, I was talking to Donald Trump a week ago. Okay,
name dropping.
Digital twin of Donald Trump. And if you hate Donald Trump, to think of a newscaster I would be talking to, but I was talking to Donald Trump. And this Donald Trump was talking back to me like if the real Donald Trump was sitting right here and I was talking to him, it sounds like him, looks like him, and it's pretty interesting. Underneath that virtual being was thousands of AI agents that are scouring the internet for all the real-time news, going to Reddit, going to X, going to other places. And the virtual Donald Trump was talking to me about what the real Donald Trump was doing in the White House from Donald Trump's perspective. Right. So I was talking to Donald Trump about what he was doing in the White House right then. Yeah. Like if I had it right now, I'd be talking to it about what the hell is going on with you and Elon Musk, right? And it would answer, "Oh, Elon's a dick." Right? Yeah, and the newscaster version of this is going to be able to talk to you about the news. Oh, I just heard an earthquake happen in Bali. What, tell me about that. And the newscaster would be able to tell you about up-to-date information about what's going on in the world, right?
Well, I'm a stern defender of Elon Musk because all he's doing is trying to help humanity.
Well, he's trying to build a couple monopolies here and there too.
Yes.
Yeah. He only went to Stanford University for a couple of weeks, but I think he learned that class. He took that class, because Stanford University was started by a monopoly, right? And transcontinental railroads.
Oh yeah, Leland Stanford. Like you always tell me that story.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like
he and three guys ran a hardware store in Sacramento, California, and they got together and they're like, we need to find a better way to get goods to our store than waiting for a boat to go around the corner, the bottom of Africa to come to America, to the West Coast, right? So they proposed to the government to build a transcontinental railroad. And then they built it with 3,000 Chinese people who were actually explosive pioneers, right? They were the first to use nitroglycerin. And they still own the record for most track laid in one day, which is interesting, even with all the robots that can build railroad track now. Robots can only build about 2 miles of track. They built 10 miles of track in one day, but they built a transcontinental railroad, and Leland Stanford had a monopoly. He had the only way to get goods from Oakland to Chicago, right? And so he charged everybody a lot of money for that right, and made a lot of money. And then him and his wife bought Stanford University and built Stanford University with that money.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's,
so many stories about Silicon Valley and like the very beginning of it.
Yeah. Well, I try to study it because it's history informs where things are going in the future. I mean, even Elon's building a digging company, a boring company, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what did the Chinese do? They built tunnels, They were boring. They were the boring company 150 years ago, right? And so now he's doing the same thing with machines. And what is Elon trying to do? Oh, build a monopoly underneath the city of Las Vegas. He's building tunnels underneath the Las Vegas. And so if you want to get from the convention center to the airport, you're going to go in the tunnel and get there in 10 minutes. Well, you're going to have to pay Elon the fee. You know? And he might not allow you to use a Waymo.
Like he has a Starlink, which is a great idea. And also the rockets with SpaceX and Tesla. Like,
Yeah.
wow, it seems like Elon is kind of creating like next gen cyberpunk city.
Yep, he's trying to take us into the future, but he's also trying to build himself some monopolies. So, you know, he has a couple cooking. You know, that guy in 10, 15, 20 years is going to have a lot more power than he has today. So it's, yeah.
Well, thank God he's so benevolent, right?
Well, we hope he stays that way. You know, I have a feeling we're gonna have to split him up. You know, in a future year. You know, it's like, oh, you got way too much power over the world's economy. You know, got to break him up.
It's like,
but right now he's still building it. We like it when monopolies build. We don't like it when monopolies operate because. And also, what happens when he dies? Who takes all that over, right? Mm-hmm. And do they have the benevolent attitude of spending that money to take us to Mars? Because that's really what he's doing. He's building monopolies so that he can make a lot of money and take us to Mars with SpaceX and build a new human colony out there, right? Which is going to take a lot of investment. But,
I mean, what are we even going to do in Mars? Like, does Mars even have an atmosphere? Like, what
no. First of all, you're gonna have to live underground in Mars, right? Because if you're on top of Mars, you're being pelted with radiation. You don't want to be out on the surface of Mars. Plus, it looks a lot like the backwoods of Nevada. It's not very nice. No trees, no seas. You know, do you really want to live there?
I prefer Earth.
Well, if you have a Neuralink on, they can pump Earth into your brain, right?
That's true.
Which is, you know, there'll be people who are interested in setting up a new colony for humans. I mean, you know, that's quite attractive. That's a mission that's quite attractive to people, right? And I met a guy who lives in a submarine most of the year, and he doesn't see Earth, right? He just sees he just is underneath the sea, which is black, right? So he doesn't get to, you know, go and enjoy all the gifts God left us on the surface. So
he lives in a submarine.
Yeah, he's an admiral for the U.S. Navy. He spends 8 months out of the year under the sea with a bunch of 18-year-olds running the submarine. Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you work in an aircraft carrier, same thing. I got to spend a night on an aircraft carrier. There's 4,000 people on an aircraft carrier. Most of them never see daylight until they get to port. You know, most of them aren't allowed on deck. Right. I was highly privileged to be able to be on deck while they were shooting off planes on the slingshots that they were using, right? Most of the people underneath the deck are working underneath the deck. They never see sunlight. So they already live in a Mars kind of environment, right? And they're down there for 8 months.
It's incredible.
Are you going to Mars with Elon, or are you staying here with us?
I'm it's probably not in the cards for me because I'm old. You know, maybe my kids, maybe your kids, you know, maybe the next generation is going to get there, right?
You know what I was kind of disappointed with? That Trump appointed Elon to Doge instead of the Space Force. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, well, they're not getting along right now, so nothing like that's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, and so much of that is where I love, right? It's the relationships, right? There's so many, there's conflict there. There's, you know, I think a lot of this is also choice, right? Like I definitely prefer to stay here on Earth.
Most people would if you, I mean, let's say Elon called you up and said you can be on the first crew. The sales pitch for that is you're probably going to die a really horrible death because
Yeah.
you are going to have to be on the surface building things for a bit.
Yeah.
And you're going to get radiation sickness and you're going to die in a month up on the surface. But you'll get a statue at the Mars landing base, right? You know, that's the pitch. You're probably going to die a miserable death, but people will build schools with your name on it, and you'll have a statue when everybody gets there. They'll see your statue when they get off the craft, you know, because you'll be one of the first 100 people to go there, you know, something like that, right? The first 100 will get a statue.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that'll be attractive to, right? There's certainly
there
for
are.
a kid. I mean, that gives you your life meaning and mission, right? And even if you know you're going to be dead in 6 months, that's attractive to people. I mean, there's a lot of people who've died for lesser, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, would you look at that? We've just been talking instead of discussing the event. Yeah. Well, Katrina, I know you've taken some time to look at the event. I would love to hear some of your insights.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome, really, truly, I think it's great. And I'm dedicated to the deep tech space. I mean, I love what can be possible and to give people the experience of interacting with what's going to happen. I think it builds that relationship with it, which is so much of what my focus is and background. And so I think it's awesome. And I think some of the bigger, you know, something like this is, it kind of depends on the scale that we're thinking, you know, that's kind of where so I like the immediate next steps. And then I think big, it's the middle part, the strategies and all those things that definitely are not my gifts, but the immediate next steps and the big plan, like I know how to line up all those dots and those are my gifts. And it's also about like, I'm a gathering resources person. Like I just am able to connect with the right resources to get it done.
Yeah.
So I think the overall, like you've laid a great foundation. Now it's just, okay, what are our immediate next actions? And what are the resources that we need to do to take those steps in the immediate next ones? And then what is the long range? What's the big picture? And, you know, who are we inviting and how are we, it's a lot about resources and resource allocation and what we're doing with that to create this feeling of this experience. You know, it's like, what do we want people to feel with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, with that, Robert, we definitely want this event to be something that like really celebrates you as one of like Silicon Valley's most prominent figures, right? So we want like that energy that you bring to be reflected in this trade show. So we definitely want your input.
I would say don't put it on my personality because I have a bad toxic reputation and that'll attract a blowback. Put it on the conference itself. Put it on AI and robots and brain computer interfaces and crypto and how it all mixes together, right?
Right, like that's because I was wondering about that, right? Like because we want to draw people in, and what is that draw? Is it the experience that they're going to have within the trade show itself, or is it actually that they're coming to see you? And if that's a very different type of event. Yeah,
I would expect that they're coming. I mean, I add a little bit of a patina and interest to an event like this, and it'll help draw people. And you know, once they like, you know, I've done my homework and understand this industry and what's coming, so I can help you set that up pretty well. But it's I would focus, it's one thing if I'm doing an interview or a panel discussion or something like that, maybe even a speech. But if you put me front and center, it'll cause you some, I already know this, it'll cause you some blowback and pain, right?
All right. All good. Well,
yeah.
However,
Brock can tell you all about my bad reputation and what I did and why I'm punished. Brock will even tell you don't hire Scoble if you ask it. It will.
No,
it does. It
all
does.
things are forgiven. I mean, you can't be in jail forever, right? Like you
well,
time and then
but this actually a downside of AI, and Grok admits it that it's stuck in the past, right? It's a model that was built like last year on data from last year. It doesn't understand how human beings change over time, but it will tell you that you're gonna hear some blowback. I think the conference itself is so powerful of an idea, and if it's executed, I think that's the draw. Hey, come here and meet people who are really building the latest AI companies, or changing how we look at healthcare, or running businesses, manufacturing. All of that is going to change because AI and crypto, as part of that, changes how you build the systems, right? And with the blockchain, and it gives the AI money to go and have its own budget to go and do things for people, and it also lets people around the world participate, because if they have to get a Visa card to participate, a lot of them don't have banks, right? So people around the world, can participate in a wider range of things because of crypto, right? So I think the dream of the conference and the expo hall should be the center. It's not a Robert Scoble event, if you try to make it like that, like, oh, make a big deal of me, people, why is he doing it?
Well, you're definitely gonna be part of the event regardless. Like,
and I'm honored. Believe me, I'm just being honest with you. I've had these conversations with people once they get involved, that it causes problems, because people, while most people forgive, there's still a few that don't, and they'll bring it up and cause you pain. Unless you've thought about it beforehand, then you go, hey, I thought about it.
I thought about it, and I don't care.
Okay, yeah.
What it is, like we're celebrating the creativity of Silicon Valley. Like you can't pin someone to the cross forever. We got to move.
No, and my gift to this is I'd be bringing people from around Silicon Valley and other places to do various talks, or be in the expo hall and stuff like that. Yeah, and I just was at Sully AI. I could get the founder of Sully AI to come and give a talk on it, the future of the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're a super pioneer, and I believe in forgiveness. I believe that there is a such thing as mercy, and you have brought a lot of things, especially allowing people to stay up to date with what the latest thing is. I think that's a lot of value, and I think you should be celebrated. You should.
I love you.
Give your flowers. So,
well, and usually, as they always say, with great exposure, there also is the other side. Like, you can't just be a normal and not have both and. You're not gonna have just one or the other. It's gonna be both and. So I haven't, Robert, to be fair, I haven't checked up on all your all the things. So I'm meeting you as a new person.
You can ask Rock. Tell me about Robert Scoble's downsides, and he'll lay it out in great detail.
So I think actually this is a great point, because it's not about a person, it's about the community that's being created within this expo, right? It's about how we can work together and support what our experience is going to be now, a year from now, and 10 years from now, and just have fun with it.
Yeah, I agree. And I could help there a lot, you know, thinking through how to get more of the community involved, how to, yeah, I could add value there. So
Yeah, absolutely. So finally we should start going through this deck. Just been looking.
yeah, well, I mean, it's all on point, right? What you're really doing it is you recognize there's a new way of living life, an AI first way of living. Right. AI cooks my toast when I get up in the morning, right? AI drives me to meetings. I'm talking to AI I mean, AI is listening right now, right? And understanding what's going on and writing notes for you and even coaching you, you know, and telling you what you should be doing. That's a new way of living. And it's a scary way of living for a lot of people because they don't live near San Francisco and they don't see autonomous cars in their street yet. And they don't understand the changes that are about to hit. They haven't even started paying attention to the changes, right?
Yeah. This event reminds me of the World Expo, which I think Palace of Fine Arts was part of in San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Yeah.
So like this event reminds me of like this is the future of mankind type stuff.
Yeah.
It sounds big because you know brain computer interfaces. The first time I heard about that was from you, and then also all this about the holodeck and really understanding like the future of technology is probably going to go through the holodeck. Like these are all very interesting things that I think more people should learn about.
Yeah. And they should see what's the latest stuff. I mean, NVIDIA did a XR exhibit at GTC that was pretty good. And they were showing off how you're going to buy cars differently in the future because of this and how you're going to design factories or warehouses differently because of this, right? And a few other demos. And so if you had a few of those kinds of demos in the expo hall, like a XR pavilion or a piece of the expo hall, right? And you get 3 or 4 companies, gives people a taste and gets them to think about how they might use a holodeck in the future. And that's certainly should work through, you know, your curriculum or the day of talks, right? You should have a little bit of that, like salt on the meal, right?
Yeah. But well, and you just, you know, you mentioned NVIDIA and, you know, obviously they're a big conference. And I think the thing that I'm curious about is like, what type of container are we creating here, right? Like, what's our expectations? How big do we want this to be? I like to think about those places because then if we have the container around it, then we can like, okay, this is what we're doing with this. This is where we need to allocate. This is what's happening. So I'd love to know more of kind of the scope and, you know, are we sponsoring? Like, how are we just the initial, you know, startup of getting this going, right? Like, is there sponsorships? Are we actively selling? Like, okay, this is the trade booth. We're inviting you, like make the donation or whatever, you know, that the charges I saw that you looked at, Dwayne, it's awesome. Like the setup fees for that. So I think we just have to kind of figure out how big do we want this to be and then kind of work from there.
Yeah.
Right. And what's realistic and what are we open to letting just like how big, maybe it can get even bigger than what we thought.
Events, the pattern for events in the past has been it takes three years to really make them big.
Yep.
The first year you have, you know, like at South by Southwest, they had 400 people at the first one, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't have very many sponsors. And the first one goes really well, and then sponsors start paying attention for the second year, and it starts growing because people say, "Oh, this was a great event." AI engineering summit that's just happened in San Francisco is on the 3rd year, and it's getting big, right? Thousands of people filling a Marriott marquee, right? But the first year was a little tiny event. The second year was a pretty good event. And now it's starting to go and get a lot of sponsors and a lot of exposure. And the same thing is probably going to be true here because in 2 months, I don't know how many people we can get involved or how many vendors we can get there. But you start it. I'm thinking of doing the same thing with an event, and you start small, you get a good group of people in, you make it a success, a spiritual success even, and then the second year it starts working, right?
Yep. Yeah, that was
absolutely.
like the Stripe sessions. I don't know. I think they did their first one. They actually had Sam at it three years ago, and then the next year it was bigger, and then last year it was even bigger. So it's just it's a progressive thing. So I think figuring out where do we want to start.
Yeah, it takes time for companies with marketing budgets to put you into the budget plan, right? You know, even if they hear about it, it's like, I can't add more this year. Our marketing budget's spent, right? So you're going to hear some of that, and then you know they start thinking about you, and then you know next year they'll come and really understand your conference, and then the third year they start really sponsoring, right? So it's unfortunate because it takes a lot of investment to get it to go, you know.
Yeah.
Well, if we can get an early buzz going, I was actually thinking about posting the conversation we're having here on YouTube as just as a promo, and then let's see the interest it generates, because a lot of this stuff is grassroots, right?
No, it's who joins it, and
people are going to see us talking to Robert Scoble about this amazing event. I'm sure some sponsors out.
But I think you're tapping into something by joining AI and crypto. I'm seeing that there's a need for an event like this, right? So do people jump in and go, oh, this is finally the event we were waiting for, you know? Because I like the crypto community is cooking on its own, and the AI community is cooking on its own, and they don't really see why they need each other yet. They're just starting to, right? And crypto people are starting to really learn AI, because everybody's going to use AI, right? So
and especially giving an AI agent a crypto wallet. Imagine the type of infrastructure that we can build.
Yeah. You might give your AI agent some go figure out how to make me money. Here's $100. And it just goes and does some market research, builds a company, builds an app, and then starts puts it on the app store, and somebody downloads it and makes money that way, right? And all of a sudden comes back, I got a bigger wallet now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's a new pattern that's going to be interesting to people, right? Can they make a thing like that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go a little bit through some of this presentation, though. So I think all this stuff is fine. I think one of the first goals is to find a space that's big enough to hold a bunch of booths. So I would love to do it at Stanford. I don't know if any of us have any connections at Stanford University. I think like this type of event will probably go really well with the type of events that they hold there.
I don't. I would have to work on it.
Good. I'll just
Jeremiah Oyang just had an event there, so I know he has some contacts. And Jeremy Billinson, who runs AR and VR there at Stanford, I know him. So we could probably triangulate in on who decides on that pretty quick.
Awesome. Yeah, like we want to have this be a really good event. I know it's like our first one, so maybe 5,000 people showing up is a little ambitious, but there's a lot of ways that we can integrate AI agents in order to just only focus on finding people to sign up. So that would be an interesting experience, right?
Yeah.
And then let's see. So I like what you were saying about the Holy Trinity: holodecks, robots, and brain-computer interfaces.
And we should come up with a new name, because crypto is the fourth one.
And crypto.
The fourth partner. And going toward the singularity,
The fourth partner,
The fourth part. The four partners. I got to come up with a better name, because Holy Trinity has a religious tint to it, which I sort of like playing with. But
So is holodeck? I mean, is AI in the holodeck, or is it?
Yeah, AI is driving everything, right? It's going to drive the virtual beings. It's going to drive the scenes. It's going to generate the 3D experiences around you. So AI is going to. That's why it's different than the metaverse, right? Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse is not AI driven yet. It's all hand built, right?
Mhm.
It's built by humans. What's coming over the next 3 years is AI driven. The Gaussian splats that you're looking at are AI themselves, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, or the convex splats, since there's a new paper, whatever it is.
Yeah. So the way I'm thinking about setting this whole thing up is doors open at 9, and then morning coffee and donuts or whatever, and then around 10 we need an AI industry leader to give a keynote. So I would love like Jensen Huang to come and give a keynote about the future of the holodeck, brain computer interfaces, and robots, because like he's working on all these amazing things. So that'd be great promotion for NVIDIA.
How about Mark Benioff? Because he runs Salesforce, which runs a lot of businesses, right? He might have something really to say about the role of crypto in businesses and AI in businesses, right?
Oh yeah.
His company's a little slow because it's a big company, but he usually has his fingers in stuff like that,
Yeah, let's get Mark Benioff.
Something like that, anyways, you need a big name. That's what you need, right? Because a big name grabs attention, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff Bezos, Mark Benioff, and Elon Musk.
Yeah, these are industry leaders at the forefront of this technology, and he definitely wants, because I strongly believe in starting all my events with a keynote, because the keynote's energy just transfers throughout the whole day.
Totally agree. You got to pick your first. I noticed that doing conferences for programmers, if your keynote was banger, the whole conference was banger, right? If the keynote was boring, the whole conference felt off, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's frequency. You're bringing in a frequency of, and if then the frequency is going to match.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then around 11, I want to do a showcase for an hour and a half. We could probably fit 10 of the most cutting edge companies from all these different industries that we're showcasing, perhaps even NVIDIA or Google or these various companies. And then we want to live stream the whole thing so that, there's content nonstop for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Weeks at a time. And then around 1, I want to do a XR, AR, VR, immersive. There's only focus on that. So the whole trade show is happening, but this is the main event. So these are the events that are happening while the whole trade show is happening around us, right? And then around 2, crypto showcase. I wanted to, honestly, I want to know what the latest crypto hype thing is, because I know NFTs have been it for a while. So I'm curious.
Well, there's a new arm called decentralized AI, which includes crypto into AI and blockchain into AI to make decentralized systems. That's probably the middle ground between the AI community and the crypto community. With crypto, I would call it something like what happens when AI gets a wallet, right?
Ooh, yeah.
Right? How does the world change when AI agents have a crypto wallet and they can spend it? Right? And that might bring into the your AI agent might decide to buy some shitcoin, right?
I know shitcoin that might make you rich.
Well, that's the thinking, right? But it's speculative and weird. But your AI might evaluate all the shitcoins and go, I'm going to buy some of that, right? And then it also could maybe set up a business for you, and start making money for you, right? So that question of what does what happens when your AI agent gets crypto?
Yeah.
Is an interesting question that could lead you into a few different directions, to talk about. And I think that gets the crypto people there. It could build you an NFT, right?
Good.
And sell you the NFT, and now the AI agent has more crypto in its wallet, right? Because it successfully made an NFT and marketed it and got it sold to somebody, right?
No, absolutely. And then I would like to do a workshop for AI. So like get a hands-on demo, which I think will really engage the audience, just like getting hands-on with some of the latest AI tools. And then at 4, I want to close out the conference with a fireside chat from you and probably one of your best friends, like perhaps Elon, perhaps, Donald Trump, like, I don't know, like just someone that you have really good conversations with. And I think we all just want to eavesdrop on what those conversations are like.
Yeah.
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 And then our trade show, we want, startups to showcase their crypto, their XR, VR, AR, and AI startup with booths. So, these different amazing booths that, they'll buy, and then we'll have their logos and have it decorated the way they want. Any type of, setup, we'll have that done. And that all will be happening around us, while like this main stage that has big monitors are at the background and big speaker system and lights, and they're shining and it's really like dazzling. That's the main stage. And like also, it's good to have to engage your audience, like especially when they're just standing around. It's good to have like a selfie station. So we'll have a selfie station, and the selfie station could be sponsored by someone. And then we'll have sponsorship that, Starfleet, because we're in the future. Star Trek, I think Star Trek is the most futuristic fictional universe. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, anywhere from 5,000 to 50,000 would be what a company could sponsor for this event, and really get their name out, especially with this audience of amazing people. Yeah. And then that goes over all the sponsorships. Yeah. So, I think especially the people watching this right now, like this is such an amazing opportunity to like come
Yeah.
to a futuristic event that details the next 10 years of technological development, and perhaps you can make this an annual thing.
Yeah. Well, I think your topic is right on point. I think your community's gonna be interesting because of what you're doing. I think this is the right time at the right place to do an event like this, because I'm seeing these two communities cooking, and they're moving toward each other.
No, absolutely. Like it's
Yeah.
such a great time to showcase all the amazing AI. Because like with agents and stuff, I'm messing around with N8N. Like you can create these AIs that call you with I think it's play or something like that.
Yeah.
The one that calls you and you could talk to them, and it's like a real phone call with a real person. And then
Yeah.
after you hang up, like the AI agent places the appointment on your Google Calendar. Like it's so incredible, like the future that we live in right now. And I
Yeah,
think
that's what I just saw at Sully. They're doing that for hospitals and doctors, right? They answer the phones with an AI. So if you call up the hospital soon, you're going to be talking to an AI. Hey, I need a colonoscopy in the next few weeks, right? And it'll be hooked into the various doctors and nurses' calendars, and it'll be able to make you an appointment, right? It's crazy what's coming. And this is coming for every business and every human, right?
awesome. Yeah. I think our call is going to end, but
Yeah.
we're excited, and we're going to leave a link below. Like
Nice
anyone who's
to
interested in being a sponsor or catching a booth for this event, make sure you register now so we can experience the future together.
Yay.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so I think that's good advertising.
Nice to meet you, Robert.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. That was fun.
Yeah.